Hey everybody, welcome into another session of KORTX's Empowering Transformative Growth series. We're excited today to have our senior paid search specialist, Ryan Robbins, join the call. I'm our CRO, Chris Rowell, and today we're going to be talking about advanced paid search strategy. Paid search, obviously one of the most important tactics within an omni-channel media mix. Ryan, we appreciate you joining today. Would love to start off by just learning a little bit more about your professional background. What got you into paid search? I know you love it. You seem to treat it like a video game. So just curious where that kind of passion comes from.
My experience probably goes back about 18 years in total. It started off in a sporting goods e-commerce type of approach where I was marketing game tables online. And from there, sort of progressed into the automotive sector. And as my specialization grew and stayed pretty consistent to paid search, my experience across verticals has also grown quite a bit. So in that time, as I said, e-commerce, retail, automotive, sporting goods, healthcare, real estate, senior living, and probably dozens of others I'm forgetting at this moment.
Do you have a favorite that you've worked on?
I think automotive is where, being based in Detroit is where I've had my deepest experience, but I'll say I love them all the same.
All right, well, let's jump into it. We're talking about SEM, search engine marketing, the foundational digital marketing tactic and tool.
Yeah.
For a lot of us, and specifically at KORTX, we came from a lead gen organization in our early days, working with distributed business models, local businesses. Paid search was the first real kind of investment that I think businesses were comfortable in making. And today, as you look at the mass market and all the different solutions that we have, still search engines and SEM are such a foundational piece of that. I think, a misnomer that I had really early on, I was like, well, aren't these platforms mostly set up to set and forget it? Like you build out the campaigns and you let the algorithms kind of optimize as they see fit. And I could not be more wrong. And you've really helped me open my eyes there. So KORTX, we embrace a omni-channel, cross-channel strategy, search, social, the programmatic universe. You've really helped show kind of how all of these tactics should work together and work in harmony. And I think that's what I want to get into today. We can go through the basics, and I know you could provide a 101 and 201 on SEM and paid search, but a few of the topics I know you shared with me: dynamic conversion values, the use of customer lists, tying together search and organic reporting to make inferences and adjustments, dynamic seasonality adjustments, and then advanced automation. Let's go. We got 5. I know you want to talk about, each of these in a little bit of detail. So let's start from the top. I mean, how are you seeing paid search specialists, and maybe even speaking from your own point of view, leveraging dynamic conversion values?
I'm sure most can understand that not all conversions are created equally. An email lead might have a different business value than a phone call. One zip code might have a different business value than another zip code or otherwise geographic location. So just to give a working example, let's say that we know based on historical data that an email lead is either 5 times more likely to turn into a conversion, or it per submission is worth 5 times as much revenue versus a phone call. We want the algorithms to treat that conversion as such, with that 5-fold relative difference. So we're going from a strategy that's just really bidding towards total conversions, regardless of value, towards a bidding strategy that is self-optimizing towards the total value of conversions, that is generating the most important conversions, most importantly, with the greatest business value. That's the first fundamental step. That's sort of, in most cases, sort of that basic foundation, but there's really other layers of efficiency that we can add to that strategy. So going back to zip codes, let's say that zip code A either generates 30% more revenue or again is converting at 30% the rate of zip code B. We want to prioritize saturation in that zip code A with a relative difference of 30% than zip code B. So you can think of this as increasing emphasis by 30% in the higher performing zip code and decreasing emphasis by 30%. These are just placeholder numbers in the zip code that's relative to A, a little bit lower in terms of performance. So in terms of sort of the full picture here, we are going from focusing on the keywords that matter the most to focusing on the conversions that matter the most within the geographic locations that matter the most. The key part of this being with a measurable business value based on business objectives, whether it be revenue, signups, appointments, anything of that nature. And these are just a couple of examples. This is just a base level of it. We can also make modifications based on devices, audiences, and a number of other factors as well.
Awesome. So in layman's terms, I'm summarizing this for myself. I have a business objective online sales. I'm going to allow my top performing zip codes, my most important site actions, or my most important conversion actions, and my top performing keywords to really harmonize together. And I'm leveraging that combination in one campaign targeting approach. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's precisely it.
Okay.
Business efficiencies at every single level, from the keyword down to the geographic location.
Awesome. All right. Super helpful. So going from having different values around our conversion points, I know we deal with this almost exclusively as a first conversation with new customers, is the value of first party data.
Yeah.
You're looking at website data. If you're thinking about customer lists, the various lead gen kind of aspects that you may get, whether it be a form fill or a phone call. Let's talk a little bit about the ways that customer lists are specifically used in paid search. So just walk us through kind of what that process and use case is.
Yeah, so I'll refer to, just for the example, when I say first party data, this is specifically customer lists I'm referring to. But in a nutshell, first party customer list data has the ability to supercharge campaign tactics. And it does so in a number of ways. There's, for one, strategic targeting examples. So examples of that being a new customers only campaign where we're excluding existing customers, retention based repeat buyer or follow-up appointment type of strategy where we're focusing on driving repeat business from the current customers. But that value, the value of customer lists, goes really well beyond those sort of baseline examples. Just by incorporating first party customer list data, we are sending predictive modeling signals to our bidding algorithms of who it should focus on the most, not just the keyword level, but who within the keyword population is most valuable and most likely to convert into a customer. Furthermore, offline actions. So you can think of this as someone submitted a lead on the website. They made a phone call to book an appointment, and then they purchased in store. Now, 2 of those 3 actions are not website related, but they are part of the full picture. And we want to account for and optimize towards that full picture. This is done so by uploading what we call offline conversion data into advertising platforms so that it can see the full journey from the click down to the sale. So in practice, what we're doing is we're going from a strategy that focuses on lead generation to a strategy that focuses on the lead to sale generation, and bidding focused on the entire journey from the lead to the sales.
In your experience, Ryan, are you typically seeing, that first party customer data? Is it something that's coming from like a point of sale system or a CRM? Are those the most useful kind of data sources for that information?
Yeah, 9 times out of 10, depending on industry, there's some nuance to it. It's going to be a CRM type of export. Best practice is to automate the connection between the CRMs to the advertising platforms so that it's a real-time type of approach.
Awesome. So I got a point of sale system in my store. That's going to update my CRM. That CRM is immediately going to pass through that information to whatever ad platform that we're using. Is that a correct understanding of it?
Precisely correct. And then that ad platform is going to associate the conversions with the sales and continually optimize towards generating the sales, not just the conversions.
Awesome. So I think that's a super important thing is it's not just having the data, it's making sure that data is connected and refreshed in near time to maximize the relevance of how the platforms are bidding and optimizing.
Yeah.
So super helpful. So number we had there was, again, obviously talking about first party data. Number 3, I know you're kind of looking at the relationship between paid search and organic reporting. So why don't you just talk to us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so search is not limited to just paid search. Paid and organic efforts will have an inherent influence on each other. One will impact the other. And both really should not be viewed in 2 separate segmented silos. We want to account in the same way that we're talking lead to sales, in the same way we're talking about other full picture type of strategies, we want to account for the full keyword picture. So we do this by linking paid results to organic results, which then creates a blended type of optimization approach, telling us where we should double down, where we should maintain, and equally as important, where we should pull back from a keyword perspective. So we're going from that sort of just paid keyword and then looking at organic keywords separately to a full keyword type of picture, and then optimizing towards that full keyword picture with all of the context that's critical for search engine performance.
So I'm creating a keyword universe basically for my business, for my brand.
Yep.
Is that right?
Yep.
Awesome.
Everything.
Okay. What type of tools are you typically using when I know you work with our organic team here, just some popular ways that you get that information, if you wouldn't mind sharing.
So within ad platforms, oftentimes you can link we'll say Google Search Console to Google Ads, for instance. So Search Console is the full picture of what's happening from a keyword perspective on the organic side of the search results page. That can be linked to Google Ads. We can blend that reporting, but that's just the base level reporting. Most importantly is what we do on our end to make judgments and informed decisions based on that reporting to align campaign keyword focus based on really where the opportunity is. So to kind of elaborate a little bit more, when I say double down, when I say maintain, and when I say pull back, double down would be a case where there's specific keywords that are so high in conversion rate, and we do have so much coverage, but we're seeing that when there's a paid and organic listing on the search results page, the cumulative uptick in conversions goes up. Where to maintain might be something that's high converting, but does not have good organic coverage. So we want to make sure that we're maintaining there to keep generating conversions where we're not able to obtain an organic listing result. And then where to pull back might be something where it's mixed between the two, but it's not a high performing keyword, especially from that lead to sales perspective. So we might pull back on our coverage there and just allow organic to accumulate the visits that it's able to.
So truly making data informed decisions with that approach that seemingly apply to any advertiser or any business owner. So looking at reporting as kind of an opportunity to understand your holistic keyword audience, a super important business tool that can be leveraged by really any advertiser. And I think another one that is super relevant here that you have, Ryan, is just looking at seasonality adjustments based on the business type. We all know that almost any business goes through varying ups and downs based on what they're selling, the products, the customer base. I'd love to talk about an example of like a home services company and in the home services industry, if you don't mind. We see, peaks and lulls that can be based off of weather, that can be based off of even travel and kind of destination opportunities. But let's just kind of focus on the home services piece. What are you seeing in that space? And speaking to that as an example of how you can use seasonality to kind of make adjustments within the platforms.
Yeah. So as you said, some periods of time throughout the course of the month will vary in terms of consumer behaviors and then really what we can anticipate from a performance perspective. So let's say weekends might have more appointments for consultations, promotions might carry with them incentives with higher conversion rates. And then for, let's say, home services, weather changes will likely impact the amount of, let's say, HVAC repairs that we can anticipate fielding or we can anticipate in terms of an increase in search volume. And we can adjust the algorithm to factor for these changes, which then will adjust how we spend and how we bid to win more auctions for the period of time that we can anticipate these types of upticks. So we're going from that sort of average daily spend type of structure throughout the course of the month, how it averages over the course of 30, 31 days, to a fluid performance-based spend that's factoring the periods of time. There's going to be upticks in performance based on those seasonality factors or those weather factors, all within the entire campaign budget. It's a maximization of efficiencies based on additional components, not just the keyword, not just the daily budget.
Got it. Budget optimization, it can be based on historical trends that a business may be aware of. I'm going to sell more ice cream cones in the summer than in the winter, or a little bit more real time, as you said. It could be weather based, for example, if something goes above or below a certain temp, to make some adjustments based off of that, which I think that's a really unique way. And I know you've talked quite a bit in the past about how you take search to impact other portions of your media strategy. For that, having a programmatic campaign that's running that has dynamic creative that adjusts based on the weather or the time of day and day of week, you can really start to tie together such a foundational strategy with something that's a little more upper funnel or consideration based. So I really appreciate the example there.
Absolutely.
The last one, advanced automation. Automation can mean so many things, I think, in so many different ways in marketing and advertising. So why don't you just narrow in a little bit on what you mean there?
So from the highest level to look at paid search, performance is really predicated on the efficacy of AI and machine learning. But to your earlier point, paid search is by no means a set it and forget it type of strategy. Calibration via expert knowledge is absolutely essential, especially for campaigns that might have tens of thousands of keywords in total. And this can be accomplished through setting up what we'll call automated actions, which are, as the name indicates, custom changes that occur when certain conditions are met. I would think of this, and these are really simple examples, of pausing keywords once they accumulate 100 clicks, but they have not generated a conversion, or increasing budget caps for campaigns when we see changes in performance trends a little bit more real time than maybe the prior example with seasonality adjustments. This ensures that throughout the lifespan of a campaign, there is continuous and constant improvements that are enhancing AI and machine learning algorithms. And it's done through on top of other optimizations as well. So this is effectively compounding interest for paid search. Even just incremental improvements over the course of a day or month or year will lead to significant gains in the total performance of a campaign throughout its lifespan.
Ryan, I appreciate you walking us through those topics. And for anybody who's listening and watching, please reach out to us. Ryan would love to share his thoughts on applying any of these topics. He also performs a lot of free audits around paid search in a way that we may be able to assist. So again, this video, we talked about dynamic conversion values, customer lists, search and organic reporting, dynamic seasonality adjustments, and advanced automation. Ryan, thank you so much for joining us today and for everybody watching and tuning in. We'll see you next time.